These foods cause cancer. In this video, I'm showing you the top 7 foods that have been proven to cause cancer. Whether you've just been diagnosed with cancer, years out from your diagnosis, or even if you're high risk of developing cancer, you need to know about these foods. Starting with number 1, processed meats. The World Health Organization categorizes processed meats as a category 1 carcinogenic to humans. This means that there's actually enough scientific information to determine that processed meats cause cancer in humans. The scientific evidence is from large epidemiological studies. These studies look at large groups of people and find that if you eat more processed meats, then you're more likely to develop cancer. It's been found to increase the risk of breast cancer, colorectal, colon, rectal, and lung cancer. But what exactly is considered processed meat? Processed meats have been altered due to salting, curing, smoking, fermentation, or anything else that may prolong the shelf life or enhance the flavor. For example, this would be things like deli meat, hot dogs, sausages, beef jerky, or canned meat. But what about white meat or canned or smoked fish? Do they cause cancer too? Well, the majority of the most current research actually looks at red meat, so that's beef and pork. But less research looks at white meat, so poultry or fish. At the moment, it's generally thought that white meat and fish are a safe option, but we just don't know quite yet for sure. So if you really wanted to be safe in lowering your risk of cancer by avoiding processed meats, you would avoid both red meat and white meat. Okay, but what about processed meats that are nitrate-free? Nitrates are natural chemicals that are used as food additives. They work by stopping the growth of bacteria and enhance both the flavor and the color of food. Nitrates are often added to deli meat, ham, sausage, or hot dogs. They're going to lower the amount of bacteria and prolong the shelf life. But it's not quite clear if the increased risk of cancer associated with processed meats is due to nitrates, or if it's due to another compound involved in the processing of meats. I also know that foods that are labeled nitrate-free may still contain nitrates. Nitrates naturally occur in our environment and naturally in food. So when a food is labeled nitrate-free, they often use celery juice or powder to still add nitrate. So this would mean even a food labeled nitrate-free would still contain nitrates. So if you really love processed meats, then you might be wondering, well, how much is this actually going to increase my risk of cancer? Fortunately, there is a study that answers this exact question. Now, it obviously depends on the amount of processed meats you eat on a regular basis, but it's estimated that if you ate around 50 grams of processed meat every day, which is a fairly small serving of processed meats, then this would increase your risk of cancer by 18%. As a cancer survivor myself, this seems really high. I don't want something to increase my risk of cancer by nearly 20%. No way. I want to lower my risk of cancer, not increase it. But there is an important distinction that you have to remember. You don't have to go all or nothing. You can still enjoy processed meats once in a while. If you do that, your cancer risk will still be very low. We're talking 50 grams of processed meat every single day. That would be like having a deli sandwich absolutely every day. And believe me, there are definitely people that do that. But that is not good for your cancer risk. But if you want to occasionally enjoy a sandwich or have bacon at brunch, then you should feel good doing it. You know you have lowered your cancer risk by cutting back significantly. But if you didn't really like processed meats to begin with, and you can give it up completely, that's even better. But that leads me to the other food that the World Health Organization lists as a category 1, alcohol. Alcohol has long been known to increase the risk of various types of cancers: breast, liver, mouth, throat. And the risk increases with increasing consumption. Makes sense, right? The more you drink, the greater your risk. There are a couple of thoughts as to why alcohol increases the risk of cancer. It's not fully understood, but it is known that alcohol causes inflammation in the body, and this inflammation can cause DNA damage, which eventually can lead to cancer. But what matters most with alcohol and cancer risk is actually the amount of alcohol you drink, not the type of alcohol. It really doesn't matter what type of alcohol you drink. If you're a wine drinker versus a beer drinker or whatever, it really makes no difference. Now, it was previously believed that red wine would be good to drink because of the antioxidants, but this has been proven untrue. There are so many foods that contain diverse and great amounts of antioxidants. It's much healthier to get them from whole foods versus increasing your risk of cancer just to get them from red wine. Okay, so you might be wondering about all the old grannies and grandpas from Italy sitting around drinking wine and eating processed meats. Why did they live so long? Clearly, this can't be true. Alcohol and processed meats can't be linked to cancer. Well, the truth is that Italian cancer rates are higher. Okay, so on to the third food that causes cancer, and that's sugar-sweetened beverages. Okay, so hear me out on this one because this does not mean that sugar causes cancer. Let me explain. It's known that people who regularly drink sugar-sweetened beverages, now this is things like Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, or even sugary coffee drinks like a sugary Starbucks, are actually more likely to be overweight or obese. The extra weight is known to place people at a higher risk of cancer. It's really the effects of sugary beverages that increase your weight, led to an unhealthy body weight, which causes inflammation and insulin resistance, and that leads to cancer. Many people will oversimplify this and suggest that sugar causes cancer, but it does not. Cancer is not that simple. Cancer cells, once present, will find a way to grow. Trying to starve cancer is not an effective treatment path. Pushing the agenda that sugar causes cancer is damaging to cancer survivors. We know that adults who have been diagnosed with cancer, who have never had an eating disorder before, can actually develop an eating disorder after cancer because there's so much information online pushing restrictive diets toward cancer survivors. So completely and totally being extreme and cutting sugar out of your diet won't provide you any additional benefit, and it could provide you more stress and harm. But obviously, eating large amounts of sugar on a daily basis or drinking sugar-sweetened beverages has no nutritional value and won't positively impact your health. It's this that could cause you to become overweight or obese, and that in and of itself could increase your risk of cancer. Okay, so on to the next cancer-causing food, red meat. The World Health Organization lists red meat as a Category 2A, probably carcinogenic to humans. Red meat includes pork, beef, or lamb. Again, you want to limit the amount of red meat you consume. If you want to cut back to a couple of times a week, that's great. And if you want to remove it entirely because you don't enjoy it, that's even better. It's known to increase your risk of cancer, and that's led many large cancer prevention guidelines to suggest limiting or avoiding red and processed meat, like the American Cancer Society recommends. There's never been an association with white meat and cancer risk, like chicken, turkey, or fish. These options are safe. There might even be an inverse relationship between eating white meat and your cancer risk, meaning the more white meat you eat, the lower your risk of cancer. While we're still on the topic of meat, we need to talk about charred foods. When meats are cooked at a high temperature or over an open flame, like during barbecuing, this can release cancer-causing compounds called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs. PAHs are carcinogenic and can increase the risk of several cancers, like breast, lung, and prostate cancer. These compounds form when fat or juice from meat drips down, contacts the flame, and produces smoke. The smoke contains PAHs which can adhere to the food. To reduce this risk, cook food low and slow, avoid direct flame contact, use acidic marinades like citrus or vinegar, and trim fat from the meat before cooking. The next food known to cause cancer is high-sodium processed foods. Eating high-sodium foods, like packaged or fast food, has been linked to stomach cancer. High sodium intake causes chronic inflammation and DNA damage, interrupting normal cell processes and leading to cancer. It also impairs your immune system, making it harder to fight off cancer cells. The final food that causes cancer is trans fats. Trans fats are found in baked, fried, and processed snacks. They've been linked to breast and colorectal cancer. Trans fats have been phased out in many countries, but they still pose a risk. They cause inflammation and free radical damage, leading to cancer. Okay, so now that you know these 7 foods that cause cancer, thanks for watching.